Can we acknowledge what the Gen 7 car is truly meant to do? Because it's not just meant for safety, it's not meant to progress the sport in any sort of way that's going to make the fans happy. Obviously, we've seen that come to fruition. The Gen 7 car, this current generation of cars, is meant to phase out the tracks that are near and dear to the hearts of many NASCAR fans, intentionally making the Bristols, the Martinsvilles, the Richmonds, the Dovers, the New Hampshires a bad race. You can't convince me otherwise that this isn't intentional. NASCAR has been trying for decades to make these mile-and-a-half cookie cutter type tracks work. And this car makes it so glaringly obvious. Texas yesterday was the best race we've seen in a month and a half. And in my opinion, it was meh at best. But nonetheless, it was the best race that we've seen so far over the past month and a half. With Bristol, Martinsville, Darlington, all these great historic tracks. But the car, and you can say what you want. It's not the tracks that's just failing to provide good racing. This isn't a Monaco and F1 situation. This is a concerted effort to try to phase out the small tracks. Steve Phelps, Steve O'Donnell, and Elton Sawyer do not give a crap about the NASCAR history, the NASCAR tradition, everything that this sport was built on that made it great. They do not care. The only thing they care about is that bottom dollar. The bigger the track, the more the seats. Why do you think at Talladega, after a very incredibly boring race, Elton Sawyer comes out and says, "Oh yeah, that was a great race, blah 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 blah." Even though it was one of the lowest rating in Jeff Gluck's "Was It a Good Race" poll that we've seen at Talladega. And then at Martinsville, at Bristol, at Darlington, they'll acknowledge, "Oh yeah, we're gonna be looking to try to see if we can make some changes to make short tracks great again." No, they're not. They're trying to trick you. They think you're stupid. They think that the more bad races they put together with Richmond, with Martinsville, with Bristol, you'll be okay when they phase them out and then go to bigger tracks. Go to Montreal. Go. What did they replace Mexico with? Oh yeah, Richmond, the short track, one of the historic short tracks. Yeah, that kind of and well, why did they go clear out to Los Angeles to the Coliseum where there's more seats before trying Bowman Gray Stadium? The bigger the track, the more the seats. It is that simple. Bigger the track, the more the seats, more the tickets, more the money. NASCAR, and I don't think Ben Kennedy is in this little mafia crew. Uh, I think Ben Kennedy is legitimately trying to make things right with NASCAR. He's just working against Elton Sawyer, Steve O'Donnell, and Steve Phelps. I and you you can look at every single thing that they've done. They moved out of the Daytona July race. They have completely and totally destroyed the NASCAR regular season or the NASCAR season with this playoffs. And we'll get into that in a minute. They've moved the number of the car for more sponsor room. And it's just not landing. It never landed. And they even go as far as to have one lug nut on the cars because it's tighter. And I don't know the science behind it. Don't really care about the science behind it. But you got to find a way to get 5 lug nuts on that thing for safety reasons, quite frankly. I would feel much more comfortable with 5 lug nuts than 1 because at least the tire is going to stay with 2 lug nuts tightened as opposed to having to go 1 for 1. Because again, eventually it's going to happen. A tire is going to fall off at an inopportune time. It's going to hit a car, it's going to send it up in the air, and it's going to send it straight into the crowd. It's going to happen. But this, they are not trying. Now, I will say, Phelps, Sawyer, and O'Donnell, they're not trying to kill NASCAR. They are trying to rebuild it in a bigger image. Where the short tracks are now 1.5 miles. I think they're trying to go for more road courses, trying to go a little bit more global. And they are, and they're just trying to phase out the smaller tracks with the less seating, even at the behest of the NASCAR fans who love short tracks. And that's mighty unfortunate. Mighty unfortunate. Now, what they are doing is opening up a gap. Opening up a vacuum. For the Cars Tour to come in. And if they can get a TV partner to get them on real TV as opposed to just Flow, Flow does a great job. But they're just not widely available. Everything that they do is behind a paywall. But if the Cars Tour can get a little bit bigger, they can get into a Bristol, they can get into Martinsville, they can get into Richmond, get into those tracks, then we'll have something stock car wise. Now, one of the things that Sawyer, Phelps, and O'Donnell is failing to realize, those fans that are leaving, they're not going to come back. They are finding other stuff. Whether it's dirt racing, the World of Outlaws, whether it's IndyCar, a lot of people in the key demo, 18 to 34, 18 to 36. They are going to F1. And quite frankly, F1 put on the best race yesterday. I mean, granted, had a huge margin of victory. McLaren's dominated. But the racing at Miami was better than in Texas. It was. And I don't believe the numbers have come out on that yet. But the fact of the matter is, F1, they are coming. And by the end of the decade, one of two things are going to happen. It is either going to be F1 being the predominant sport in America as far as motorsports go, or it's going to be World of Outlaws. It could even be a mix. If World of Outlaws can get out of dirt vision and on national television, and this is the only reason why NASCAR is still king is because they have the national TV deals. There is no paywall yet. I'll be very interested to see how the prime numbers come out. Very interested on that. But they are. We'll see how that all shakes out. Now, I will say Prime has a much better broadcast lineup than what Fox has. With Steve Letarte and Dale Jr. being in the booth. I don't know who the play-by-play is, but you also have Carl Edwards on the pre-race show. It's it's gonna be something good. The broadcasting's certainly gonna get better than what Fox has done, and trust me, nobody's counting down the days more than I am on when we finally get out of Fox. The coverage on NASCAR has been horrendous. It has been a joke. Absolutely inexcusable. I mean, for crying out loud. Last week, Talladega had 9 laps to go. They go to a commercial. They go to a freaking commercial. Now, I do have friends outside of these great United States. And in the United States, the picture-in-picture, that's not a thing in other places. No. They get the full screen commercial. And so they are not seeing any of that 9 to go. And it's just bad business. You're not going to go to commercial in the bottom of the 9th. In the bottom of the 9th with 1 out. You're not going to commercial right before a pitch. It's just not going to happen. But I looking for the TV numbers here. And I am not finding it. But nonetheless, probably hasn't come back out yet. But nonetheless, this is a real issue here. They have to be. This is the first time I think this year. Well, it is. That NASCAR and F1 have virtually gone head to head. Now, one thing that is hurting F1 a bit is the fact that they have F1 TV, and those don't count into the ratings. So, we'll have to wait and see. And I don't know if Amazon releases their numbers. I hope they do. I'd be very intrigued on that, because I can't imagine the coverage is going to be much. It's impossible for it to be worse. It's impossible. But the race itself, it was all right. A lot of cautions towards the end kind of really broke it up. Made it a little hard to watch towards the end. A lot of people spinning out on that bump in turn 4. Hopefully, they repave it and kind of soften that bump a little bit, because we cannot be having leaders spinning out in front of the field. I mean, I don't know what was going on with that. Hopefully, we get a little bit better explanation here in the coming days of what's going on with that. But that is an absolute recipe for disaster, especially if I don't know if they're going back there for the playoffs. I sincerely hope not. But yeah, and another thing that I wanted to talk about was the fact that was what Junior said on on the Dale Junior download, and pretty much adding urgency to the season. And NASCAR used to have that. They really did. I mean, go back to the good old days of before the chase. You have Dale Senior, Rusty Wallace. You have Tony Stewart fighting with Dale Jr., Jeff Gordon, Johnson, fighting with everybody. But and as I've said in almost every single NASCAR video that I've done, points don't matter. They don't. Win and you're in. That's all that matters. I mean, you have the champion, the defending champion, who finished overall in the point standings. It was like what, 16th, something like that. Like imagine, if you will. Uh, well, let me pull up the F1 standings real quick. Imagine if that is the results, not the standings. Okay. Imagine if Ija Kadjar in F1 rattled off a victory at the right spot and then rattled off one last victory in the season finale. He is declared champion. He is the winner. That and he would be the F1 world champion in this scenario. Even though you have Oscar at 3 in a row, Lando's got 2, Max is 1, George has been very consistent. I mean, we can't have that. We cannot be having this. We need to have urgency all the time. You need that year-long storyline. Jeff Gordon battling Jimmy Johnson, battling Mark Martin, battling Carl Edwards, battling Matt Kenseth. These whole year-long storylines is a must to keep the fans engaged throughout the year. I mean, I said it in my F1 show yesterday. The next race for Red Bull is crucially important. Everything's on the line each and every single week with Red Bull because of where they're at. Because if Max falls below that 3rd spot, he can opt out. Lando Norris, this next race is absolutely crucial in Imola because he's got to keep pace with Oscar. And he may have to go against Team Orders to get there. We'll see if... I mean, there is urgency right now in F1. And we still have 20 races yet to the end of the season. But because of the system that F1 has, the urgency is already there. There is absolutely zero urgency in NASCAR. None. You have a bad race, oh well. Joe Logano has a bad race, oh well. Kyle Larson has a bad race, oh well. Oh well. He's already got multiple wins to fall back on. Who cares? I mean, Cindric has a bad race, oh well. He's got a win in his belt. I mean, it's... There's no urgency at all. From Daytona, from the Daytona 500, all the way back to Daytona. There's very little urgency as far as championship implications. And then you get urgency at Bristol, sort of. That's the last race before in the round of 16. But the problem with that is nobody up at the front is going to take a chance, because because if it doesn't work, they will race themselves out of the playoffs. So if they're in, they're not going to take a chance, because winning the championship is more important than winning the race. We saw that last year. Then we have the urgency back at Charlotte for the Roval, which again, nobody's going to really be stepping out of line if they're in, because the championship means more than a win. And then you have Las Vegas, then you have Martinsville, which there's a little bit of urgency. But again, with the way that the schedule lays out, with Phoenix being a very technical track, whoever wins at Las Vegas, which is the first race in the round of 8, is going to win the championship. That has been the trend the last 4 years, I believe. Essentially since they started racing the championship at Phoenix. And the saddest part is about this, they would be able to get away with this format if they had a good track at the championship for a race. They don't. They have Phoenix. Nobody was complaining about this when it was Homestead, because Homestead is a great track. It is a great racing track. It provided good racing, edge of the seat. You didn't know who was going to win until the final run. But because they have moved it to Phoenix, it has become an issue, and it is loud, and it is glaring. I 110% agree with Dale Earnhardt Jr. Get rid of the playoffs. Get rid of them. They suck. They are horrific. And I will go even further on that and say, get rid of the damn charter system. You want urgency? You don't get that safety net of a charter. You want to stay, you want a guaranteed spot? Race better. Race harder. Be in that top 35, for crying out loud. Because it's a joke. The charter system is an absolute joke. You can't get a full field, because it's not worth running open. It's a joke. That's all this is. People are leaving NASCAR in droves. In 2006, 20 million people gathered around TVs with their families and watched the Daytona 500. That has dropped to 8 million for the Daytona 500. I think 8 million was the number this year. And it just keeps going down and down and down and down. And Texas doesn't draw very many people on the TV. Kansas might. It should, but I don't think it will. And then we'll see what happens with Charlotte for the Coke 600 because it's on Prime. It's a whole different animal. I've seen many people online saying I'm not getting Prime. Screw this. Um, Personally, I think Prime's got the best broadcast team assembled of everybody, and I think it is definitely worth it. But we'll see. We'll see. And then just a spit in the face to NASCAR, and shame on them for accepting this. On the NBC part of the TV schedule, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 races on one of the big on NBC. You have 4 races on NBC, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of the 14 are on USA. You need to have these races. You need to have these races on the Big Four, on one of the Big Four, on the antenna channels. If you want to have a serious race, serious company, you need to have these on the Big Four, especially coming down late in the year. Prime is one thing. I don't know if the Coke 600 alone is a big enough draw to really get people into Prime. But like I said, I'm okay with it just because I think they have the best broadcast team of everybody. Fox, TNT, NBC. Prime has the best broadcasting partners or broadcast team. And so I'm willing to allow it. But when it comes to your championship, your playoffs, you have 2 of them. 2 of the 8 on the big channels, or three of the 10. And nobody's gonna want to watch Phoenix. And your big race, Las Vegas, that's on USA. Your championship decider. Even though it's not the championship 4, it is the championship decider. So, and I know the owners, they really want this charter. Well, it's been a net negative for NASCAR. It really has. It's keeping Dale Jr. out of it. It has pushed Chip Ganassi out. It is likely going to be preventing Jimmy Johnson and Legacy Motor Club to expanding their team. It's a net negative. It has been a failed experiment. NASCAR's in a lawsuit over these charters as we speak. We'll see what all happens with that. And it's a joke. It has all become a joke. And the only reason why I'm going to continue doing videos about NASCAR is because somebody has to speak up, call out the bullcrap that NASCAR is trying to feed, and that's going to be me. Get rid of the charters, rid of the playoff system, bring back some semblance of cars that could race on the short tracks and make it a good show, and stop trying to lie directly to the fans and acknowledge, yeah, we are doing some underhanded tactics to try to trick you into wanting to get rid of the short tracks. Because that's what's happening. That is exactly what is happening. I'm Dylan Hildreth. This is the Dylan Hildreth Show. We'll see you next time.